The darkness of space stretched endlessly around the asteroid belt known as Kepler 442. Among the floating rocks and ice chunks, something moved. It was huge and ancient. Hyensu the dragon had called this place home for over 3,000 years. His scales shimmered like black metal in the starlight. Each scale was the size of a dinner plate. His eyes glowed with a deep blue light that could see through the vacuum of space as easily as looking through clear water. Hyensu was not like the dragons from old Earth stories. He breathed not fire but pure energy. He could survive in the cold emptiness between stars without any protection. On this day, something was different. Hyensu felt a disturbance in his territory. A small object had crashed into one of his larger asteroids. The impact was tiny compared to the usual meteorite strikes, but something about it made him curious. He moved through space with surprising grace for such a massive creature. His wings, each one larger than a spaceship, caught the solar winds and pushed him forward. As he approached the crash site, his enhanced vision picked up details that would be impossible for most beings to see. There, wedged between two large rocks, was a small escape pod. It was clearly made by advanced technology, but the design was strange. Hyensu had seen many different types of spacecraft in his long life. He had watched civilizations rise and fall, seen wars that lasted centuries, and observed the birth and death of entire species. But this pod was different from anything. He remembered the metal was a silver-blue color that seemed to shift and change as he looked at it. Strange symbols were carved into its surface. They looked familiar, but Hyensu could not quite place where he had seen them before. The pod was small, maybe the size of a large coffin, and it appeared to be damaged from its journey through space. As Hyensu drew closer, he heard something that made him freeze in shock. It was a sound he had not heard in his territory for many years. It was the sound of life. Not just any life, but the cry of a very young creature. He extended one of his massive claws and carefully pried open the damaged pod. Inside, wrapped in strange blankets that seemed to generate their own heat, was a tiny infant. The baby was so small that it could fit in Hyensu's palm, but he dared not pick it up. His claws, designed for tearing through asteroid rock and deflecting laser weapons, were far too dangerous for something so fragile. The infant had pale skin and dark hair. Its eyes were closed, but it was clearly alive and healthy despite its journey through the vacuum of space. The life support systems in the pod must have been very advanced to keep such a small creature alive for so long, but what shocked Hyensu the most was what species this infant belonged to. The dragon had lived for millennia and had encountered thousands of different alien races. He had seen beings made of pure energy, creatures that lived in the hearts of stars, and civilizations that existed only as collective consciousness, but this infant was human. Humans were supposed to be extinct. The last human colony had been destroyed over 40 years ago. Hyensu remembered hearing about it through the galactic communication networks. The entire galaxy had celebrated the end of what they called the human threat. Humans had been feared across the known universe because of their incredible ability to adapt and survive in any environment. They could live on ice planets, desert worlds, in the depths of gas giants, and even in the vacuum of space with the right technology. But here was proof that at least some humans had survived. This tiny infant was definitely human. Hyensu could tell by the bone structure, the skin texture, and most importantly, by a strange energy signature that all humans possessed. It was something that made them unique among all the species in the galaxy. The baby opened its eyes. Instead of crying or showing fear when it saw the massive dragon looming over it, the infant reached out with its tiny hands. Its eyes were dark, brown, and seemed far too aware for something so young. It made soft cooing sounds and actually appeared to be trying to touch Hyensu's snout. The dragon was amazed. In all his years he had never seen any creature, especially one so young, show no fear of him. Most adult beings of various species would run or attack when they first saw him. But this human infant seemed to recognize that he meant no harm. Hyensu made a decision that would change everything. He would protect this child. He carefully used his energy breath to create a protective field around the infant and its pod. Then he gently moved both to a sheltered cave deep within his largest asteroid. The cave had been his home for centuries, and was equipped with systems that could support various forms of life. As he settled the pod in a safe location, Hyen-Su activated his advanced scanning equipment. The technology was a gift from a grateful civilization he had once saved from destruction. The scanners would tell him more about the infant's condition and perhaps provide clues about where it had come from. What the scanners revealed made the ancient dragon's eyes widen in shock. The infant's DNA contained genetic markers that should not exist in any known human population. These were not the genes of ordinary humans, but something far more advanced. The child carried genetic codes that suggested abilities far beyond what even the most evolved humans had possessed. The dragon realized he was not just protecting any human infant. This baby might be the key to understanding what had really happened to the human race. And if the wrong people discovered the child's existence, it could restart the galactic war that had nearly destroyed civilizations decades ago. Das Baby Jinwu, for that was the name written in the strange symbols on his pod, slept peacefully in his new home. Hyen-Su began to understand that his quiet life as guardian of an asteroid belt was about to become much more complicated. Far away, automated, distress signals from the escape pod were still broadcasting across the galaxy. Soon, others would know that something important had been found in the asteroid belt of Kepler 442. 3 days after Hyen-Su found baby Jinwu, the automated distress signal from the escape pod finally reached the nearest communication relay station. The signal traveled through the galaxy's vast network of quantum transmitters, carrying with it data that would shock every civilized world. On the trading station New Horizon, Captain Minho was reviewing his daily salvage reports when his communication officer ran into his cabin. The young alien's face was pale with excitement and fear. "Captain, you need to see this immediately," the officer said, his voice shaking. The automatic scanners picked up something impossible from the Kepler 442 asteroid belt. Minho looked at the data on his screen and felt his heart skip a beat. The escape pod's identification codes were clearly human in origin. But that was impossible. Humans had been wiped out decades ago. He had been there during the final battles. He had watched their last colony ships burn in the depths of space. "Are you certain this data is correct?" Minho asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "The quantum signature is unmistakable, sir. This is definitely human technology, and the life support readings suggest there was a survivor." Minho immediately contacted the Galactic Council on the capital world of Nexus Prime. Within hours, the news had spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Every species, every government, every military force was suddenly talking about the same thing. A human had been found alive on Nexus Prime. Ambassador Yunji of the Altruian Republic was in an emergency session with the Council. The Altruians were a peaceful species who had always believed that wiping out the humans was wrong. They had long, graceful bodies and large eyes that reflected their gentle nature. "If this report is true," Yunji said to the assembled delegates, "then we have committed a terrible crime. We destroyed an entire species based on fear, not facts." Across the council chamber, General Taehyun of the Zephyrian Empire stood up. The Zephyrians were a warrior race with thick, armored skin and multiple arms. They had been the ones who led the campaign against humanity. "The humans were a threat to galactic stability," Taehyun declared, his voice booming through the chamber. "They could adapt to any environment, survive in conditions that would kill any other species. They were spreading too fast, taking over too many worlds. We had no choice but to stop them." "But they were not conquered worlds," Yunji replied. "Humans asked permission to settle on empty planets. They terraformed dead worlds and made them livable. They never attacked anyone." The argument that followed was heated and loud. Some species wanted to send rescue missions to find the human survivor. Others wanted to send warships to finish what they had started decades ago. The fear that had driven the galaxy to near genocide was still very much alive. Meanwhile, on the research station Gamma 7, Dr. So Young was studying the data from the escape pod. She was a Valdorian, a species known for their incredible intelligence. and scientific abilities. Her forearms moved quickly across multiple computer interfaces as she analyzed every piece of information. "This is fascinating," she said to her assistant. "The escape pod's technology is far more advanced than anything humans had when they were supposedly wiped out. The life support systems, the hull materials, the quantum shielding, it's all at least 50 years ahead of what they should have been capable of." Her assistant, a young Valdorian named Wookjin, looked up from his own console. "Dr. So-young, I think I found something else. The pod's flight recorder shows it came from a sector of space that we have always considered empty. There are no records of any human colonies ever being established there." Dr. So-young's eyes widened. "That means there might be more of them out there. Humans who survived the war and went into hiding." The implications of this discovery were staggering. If humans had survived and continued to develop their technology in secret, they might now be far more advanced than any other species in the galaxy. On the merchant world of Karos, information broker Dong Wook was making a fortune, selling details about the human discovery to anyone willing to pay. Dong Wook belonged to a species called the Nexari, who were known for their ability to gather and sell information across the galaxy. "The dragon who found the human is ancient," Dong Wook told his latest customer. "Haisin-su has been in that asteroid belt for thousands of years. He's seen the rise and fall of dozens of civilizations. If anyone can protect the human, it's him." His customer, a representative of the Corvan Syndicate, leaned forward. "What do you know about the human itself? Is it really just an infant?" Dong Wook smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "That's the most interesting part. My sources tell me the child has genetic markers that don't match any known human DNA patterns. This isn't just any human. This might be something new entirely." Back on Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council was in chaos. Representatives from over 200 species were arguing about what to do. Some wanted to study the human child to understand how their species had evolved. Others wanted to eliminate the potential threat before it could grow up. Elder Mi Young, the oldest member of the council, finally stood up. She was a Thalorian, a species that lived for thousands of years and was known for their wisdom and knowledge of galactic history. When she spoke, everyone listened. "I was alive during the first contact with humans," she said, her voice carrying the weight of centuries. "I remember what they were truly like. They were not the monsters we made them out to be. They were curious, adaptable, and yes, sometimes dangerous. But they were also capable of great kindness and cooperation." She paused, looking around the chamber at the faces of species who had never known humans except as enemies. "We destroyed them because we were afraid of what they might become. But perhaps what we should have been afraid of was what we would become without them. The galaxy has been a darker place since the humans disappeared." Her words hung in the air like a challenge. Some delegates nodded in agreement, while others looked angry at the suggestion that the genocide had been wrong. General Taehyun slammed his fist on his desk. "We will not make the same mistake twice. If humans have survived and developed new technology, they are an even greater threat now. We must act quickly to eliminate this danger before it spreads." But Ambassador Yunji stood up again. "If we do that, we will prove that we learned nothing from our past mistakes. This child deserves a chance at life, regardless of its species." As the arguments continued, fleets from various species began to move toward the Kepler 442 asteroid belt. Some came with peaceful intentions, hoping to make contact and perhaps learn from the human child. Others came with weapons ready, determined to finish the job they had started decades ago. In the depths of space, Haiyan-Su felt the approaching ships long before they would arrive. His ancient senses could detect the quantum signatures of multiple fleets converging on his home. He looked down at baby Jinwoo, who was sleeping peacefully in his makeshift nursery. The dragon realized that his quiet life was about to become very complicated. But he had made a promise to protect this child, and he would keep that promise no matter what the cost. 1 week after the news spread across the galaxy, Haiyan-Su's peaceful asteroid belt had become the most dangerous place in known space. The ancient dragon floated near his largest asteroid, watching as dozens of ships from different species took positions around his territory. Each fleet had its own agenda, and none of them seemed willing to back down. The dragon's enhanced vision could see the various ship designs surrounding him. The sleek silver vessels of the Altarian Republic hung back at a respectful distance, their weapons powered down as a sign of peaceful intentions. Much closer were the dark, angular warships of the Zephyrian Empire, bristling with plasma cannons and missile launchers. Between them, scout ships from a dozen other species darted back and forth, gathering intelligence and preparing for whatever might come next. In his cave deep within the asteroid, baby Jin Wu slept peacefully, unaware that his very existence had brought the galaxy to the edge of another war. Haiyan Su had created a special nursery for the infant, using his ancient knowledge to build life support systems that would keep the child safe even if the asteroid itself was destroyed. The first attempt at contact came from Commander Yujin of the Altarian Republic. Her ship approached slowly, broadcasting peaceful intentions on all frequencies. Yujin was a tall, elegant Altarian with the typical pale blue skin and large, expressive eyes of her species. She had volunteered to lead the peaceful expedition because she genuinely believed that the human child deserved protection. Ancient One, Yujin's voice came through the communication system. I am Commander Yujin of the Altarian Republic. We come in peace, seeking only to ensure the welfare of the human child you have found. Haiyan Su responded using the quantum communication array he had built into his asteroid home. His voice was deep and resonant, carrying the weight of thousands of years of experience. I know why you have come, Commander Yujin, but the child is under my protection. He is safe here, and I will not allow him to become a tool for anyone's political gains. Yujin tried to reason with the dragon. We understand your protective instincts, but the child needs proper care. Medical attention, nutrition, social interaction. With others of his species, we can provide these things. His species is supposed to be extinct, Haiyan Su replied. How can you provide interaction with others of his kind when you yourself participated in their destruction? A question hung in space like an accusation. Yujin felt the weight of her species' guilt, but she pressed on. That is exactly why. We must make amends. This child represents a chance for redemption, a way to heal the wounds we created. Before Yujin could continue her argument, a new voice cut across the communication channels. It was harsh and filled with military authority. Enough of this peaceful nonsense, declared Warlord Jaesung of the Zephyrian Empire. His ship, a massive battlecruiser called the Iron Fist, moved into attack position. Dragon, you are harboring a threat to galactic security. Surrender the human or we will take it by force. Jaesung was a veteran of the original war against humanity. His body bore the scars of battles fought decades ago, and his hatred for humans had never faded. To him, the infant represented not innocence, but the seed of future destruction. Haiyan Su's eyes began to glow brighter with anger. Warlord Jaesung, you forget yourself. This is my territory, claimed and held for over 3,000 years. I have fought wars older than your entire civilization. Do not threaten me, but Jaesung was not intimidated. Your age means nothing, dragon. We have weapons now that did not exist in your ancient wars. Surrender the human or face the consequences. The standoff might have continued, but a third voice joined the conversation. It was Elder Mi Young, speaking from her research vessel positioned between the two hostile fleets. Both of you are missing the larger picture, the ancient Thalorian said. I have been studying the data from the escape pod, and I have discovered something remarkable. This child is not just any human. The genetic markers suggest he represents a new stage in human evolution. Dr. So Young's voice joined the conversation from her nearby science ship. Elder Mi Young is correct. The child's DNA contains sequences that we have never seen before. If we study him, we might learn secrets about adaptation and evolution that could benefit all species. Or we might learn how to create weapons that could destroy all species, Warlord Jaesung countered. Humans were already too adaptable. If they have evolved further, they are an even greater threat. As the arguments continued, Hyensu made a disturbing observation. Baby Jin Woo, who should have been crying or showing distress at the loud noises and bright lights from the surrounding ships, was remarkably calm. The infant seemed to sense the tension around him, but instead of being frightened, he appeared to be listening and learning. The dragon had raised many different species over his long life, and he knew infant behavior well. Most babies this young would be completely unaware of their surroundings. But Jinwoo's eyes tracked the flashing lights from the ships outside, and his head turned toward the speakers when different voices spoke. It was as if the child understood that important things were happening around him. The first shots were fired by a trigger-happy gunner on one of the smaller ships. It was meant to be a warning shot, aimed at empty space near Hyensu's asteroid. But the dragon interpreted it as an attack on his territory and his charge. The ancient creature's response was swift and terrible. He opened his mouth and released a beam of pure energy that sliced through the attacking ship like a sword through paper. The vessel exploded in a brilliant flash, and its crew barely had time to escape in life pods before their ship was destroyed. "I warned you," Hyensu's voice boomed across all frequencies. "The child is under my protection. Anyone who attacks my territory attacks me directly." The destruction of the ship sent shockwaves through all the fleets. They had known the dragon was powerful, but seeing him destroy an advanced warship with a single breath reminded them that they were dealing with a being from an earlier, more dangerous age of the galaxy. Warlord Jae-sung was furious. "All ships, prepare for a coordinated attack. We will overwhelm the dragon with numbers," but Commander Yujin quickly intervened. "Belay that order. Any attack on the dragon will likely result in the death of the very child we came to find." Elder Myung's ancient voice cut through the chaos. "Fools, all of you! Can you not see what is happening? The child is watching us, learning from us. We are teaching him that violence is the answer to every problem. Is this how we want to introduce him to galactic civilization?" Her words had an immediate effect. Several of the more aggressive ships powered down their weapons, realizing the truth of what she had said. But others, led by Jae-sung, continued to prepare for battle. Dr. So-young added her voice to the plea for peace. "The child's brain scans show unusual activity patterns. He is absorbing and processing information at a rate far beyond normal human infants. Everything we say and do here is being recorded in his developing mind." Hyensu felt a chill run through his ancient body. If the child was indeed learning from everything around him, then the anger and violence of the past week might be shaping his personality in dangerous ways. The dragon looked down at Jinwoo, who was staring up at him with those impossibly aware eyes. Just as the situation seemed ready to explode into full warfare, something appeared on the edge of the asteroid belt that made everyone freeze. It was a ship unlike anything they had ever seen. Massive beyond description, sleek and beautiful, and radiating power that made even the largest battleships look like toys. The new arrival's communication systems activated, and a voice spoke that sent shock waves through every ship in the fleet. It was speaking in perfect galactic standard, but the accent was unmistakably human. "This is Captain Haewon of the human vessel Resilience. You have something that belongs to me, and I want it back." The galaxy's worst fears had just been confirmed. Humanity was not extinct. They had been hiding, growing stronger, and now they had returned to reclaim what was theirs. The human ship Resilience hung in space like a giant predator among smaller prey. It was 3 times larger than the biggest Zephyrian battleship, and seemed to be made from materials that bent light around its hull. Strange energy patterns danced across its surface, and weapon ports that no one could identify dotted its sleek frame. Captain Haewon stood on the bridge of her vessel, looking out at the alien fleet surrounding the asteroid belt. She was a tall woman with scars across her face and arms that told stories of battles fought in the dark corners of the galaxy. Her dark hair was streaked with silver, and her eyes held the hardness of someone who had lost everything and fought to get it back. "Scanning complete, Captain," reported Lieutenant Seung-ho from his station. He was younger than Haywon, but his eyes held the same determination. 47 alien vessels, multiple species. The child is definitely on the large asteroid, protected by what appears to be an ancient space dragon. One nodded. Open communication channels to all ships. Her voice carried across space to every vessel in the fleet. I am Captain Hay, one of the Human Confederation Navy. The child you have found is my son, Jinwoo. I am here to take him home. The silence that followed was deafening. Then chaos erupted across all communication channels as dozens of voices tried to speak at once. The existence of a human military organization was impossible. Humans were extinct. They had been wiped out decades ago. Warlord Jae-sung was the first to recover from his shock. This is impossible. We destroyed all human colonies. We watched your last ships burn. Haewon's laugh was cold and bitter. You destroyed the colonies we let you find. You burned the ships we allowed you to see. Did you really think a species that could adapt to any environment would not learn to hide? Commander. Yujin's voice was filled with wonder and fear. How many of you survived? Where have you been all these years? More than you can imagine, Haewon replied. And we have been everywhere. In the empty spaces between stars, in dimensions you never thought to search, on worlds you declared uninhabitable. We learned to live in places where no other species could follow. Elder Myung's ancient voice trembled with the implications. The genetic markers in the child. They are not from evolution, they are from genetic engineering. Very good, Elder, Haewon said. My son represents the first generation of humans designed to survive anything the galaxy can throw at us. He can live in vacuum, breathe any atmosphere, adapt to any gravity. He is what we became when you tried to destroy us. Dr. So Young's voice was filled with scientific curiosity despite the danger. The technology on your ship? It is far beyond anything we have seen. 40 years of hiding gave us time to think, to develop, to improve, Haewon explained. While you celebrated our destruction, we built weapons and defenses that would make your greatest warships look like children's toys. On his asteroid, Hyein-su listened to the conversation with growing concern. He looked down at baby Jinwoo, who was staring up at him with those two aware eyes. The child seemed to recognize his mother's voice, making soft sounds and reaching toward the communication speakers. Dragon, Haewon's voice addressed him directly. I thank you for protecting my son, but he belongs with his own kind now. Hyein-su's response was careful and measured. Captain Haewon, I have protected many young ones over the centuries. I know that returning a child to its parents is usually the right thing to do. But I must ask, what kind of life will you give him? The life of a human, Haewon replied. Free to explore the galaxy, to adapt and grow, to become everything his species was meant to be. And what of revenge? The dragon asked. Your people were wronged terribly. Do you plan to use this child as a weapon against those who hurt you? The question struck at the heart of everyone's fears. The alien fleets waited tensely for her answer. Haewon was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was softer, more human. Dragon, I will not lie to you. Many of my people want revenge. They want to make the galaxy pay for what was done to us. But that is not why I am here. She paused, and when she continued, there was pain in her voice. I lost my son when our colony was attacked. I thought he was dead for years. When we received the distress signal from his escape pod, it was like a miracle. All I want is to hold my child again. Lieutenant Sung-ho stepped forward on the bridge. Captain, perhaps you should tell them about the others. One nodded reluctantly. There are other survivors. Human children hidden across the galaxy. My son was not the only one we managed to save during the war. There are dozens of them, maybe hundreds. They are growing up in secret, learning to survive in a galaxy that wants them dead. The implications of this revelation hit the alien fleets like a physical blow. If there were hundreds of human children, with advanced genetic modifications, the balance of power in the galaxy was about to change dramatically. Engineer Kyung-mi's voice came from the Resilience's engineering deck. Captain, I am detecting multiple quantum signatures approaching our position. Someone is sending reinforcements. Navigator Byung-ho confirmed the report. Long-range sensors show at least 12 large vessels on approach. They are using human design signatures. Haewon smiled grimly. It seems my people decided not to let me come alone after all. Warlord Jae-sung's voice was filled with rage and fear. This is an invasion. You are using the child as bait to draw our fleets into a trap. No, Haewon replied firmly. This is a rescue mission. But my people will not allow their children to remain in the hands of those who tried to genocide them. Commander Yoo-jin tried to find a peaceful solution. Captain Haewon, surely we can negotiate. The Ultrian Republic had nothing to do with the attacks on your colonies. We opposed the war from the beginning. I know, Haewon said. And that is why I'm giving you all a chance to leave peacefully. You have 24 hours to withdraw your fleets from this system. After that, we will consider any remaining ships to be hostile. Dr. So-young's voice was desperate at the scientific opportunities. The child could teach us so much about adaptation and evolution. Surely some kind of joint study could be arranged. My son is not a laboratory experiment, Haewon replied coldly. He is a child who needs his family. On the asteroid, Hyeon-soo made a decision that surprised everyone. Captain Haewon, I request permission to come aboard your ship. I wish to speak with you face to face before I decide whether to release the child. There was surprise in Haewon's voice. You would trust yourself to come aboard a human ship? I have lived for thousands of years, the dragon replied. I have learned to judge character, not species. If you are truly the child's mother, you will understand my need to be certain of his safety. Haewon was quiet for a moment, then her voice softened with what might have been respect. Very well, Ancient One. You are welcome aboard the Resilience. I give you my word that you will be safe here. As Hyeon-soo prepared to leave his asteroid home, he looked down at Jinwoo one more time. The baby was calm and alert, as if he understood that important changes were coming. The dragon gently picked up the child in his protective energy field and began the journey to the human ship behind them. The alien fleets watched nervously as more human vessels appeared on the edges of the system. The galaxy was about to discover just how much humanity had changed during their years in hiding, and at the center of it all, a baby who might hold the key to the future of all species was about to be reunited with his mother under the protection of an ancient dragon who had decided that some bonds were more important than politics or fear. Hyeon-soo had never been inside a human ship before. As he floated through the corridors of the Resilience, carrying baby Jinwoo in his protective energy field, he was amazed by what he saw. The walls seemed to be alive, shifting and changing to accommodate his massive form as he moved. The air itself felt different, charged with energy that made his ancient scales tingle. Captain Haewon met them in the ship's main conference room, which had expanded to 3 times its normal size to fit the dragon. She stood quietly for a moment, staring at her son floating safely in the dragon's energy field. Tears ran down her scarred cheeks as she saw Jinwoo reach out his tiny hands toward her. May I hold him? She asked softly. Hyeon-soo carefully lowered the energy field, allowing Haewon to take her child for the first time in months. The baby immediately calmed in his mother's arms, making soft cooing sounds as he looked up at her familiar face. He remembers me, Haewon whispered, her voice breaking with emotion. I was so afraid he would forget. The dragon watched this reunion with ancient eyes that had seen countless partings and reunions across the centuries. Tell me the truth, Captain Haewon. What really happened to your people? Haewon sat down, holding Jinwoo close to her chest. The truth is more complicated than either side wants to admit. Yes, humans were spreading quickly across the galaxy. Yes, we could adapt to environments that killed other species. But we were not conquerors, we were refugees. She looked up at the dragon, her eyes filled with old pain. Our homeworld was dying, Hyeon-soo. Earth's sun was becoming unstable, and we had perhaps 50 years before it would destroy everything. We asked the Galactic Council for help for new worlds where we could settle our population. They gave us the worst planets they could find. Toxic wastelands, frozen rocks, worlds with poisonous atmospheres. Hyen-Su nodded slowly. But humans made those worlds livable. We had no choice, Hae-Won continued. We developed genetic modifications, environmental suits, terraforming technology. We turned dead worlds into gardens because it was that, or watch our children die. But the other species saw our success and became afraid. The ship's communication system activated, and historian Sun Wu's voice joined the conversation from another part of the vessel. He was an elderly human with white hair and eyes that held the weight of terrible memories. "Dragon, you asked for the truth," Sun Wu said. "The truth is that the galaxy declared war on us not because we were aggressive, but because we were too successful at surviving." Dr. Inho's voice added to the conversation from the ship's medical bay. The other species realized that if humans could adapt to any environment, we would eventually spread everywhere. They saw us as a threat to their own expansion and resources. Hae-Won shifted Jinwoo to her other arm and continued the story. The war was not a battle between equals. It was systematic extermination. They hunted down our colony ships, bombed our settlements, killed our children. They wanted to wipe us out completely. But some of you escaped, Hyen-Su observed. Few, Hae-Won agreed. Those of us who managed to get away went into the deepest, most dangerous parts of the galaxy. We hid in black holes in the hearts of dying stars and dimensions that existed between normal space. We learned to live in places where even our enhanced genetics were pushed to their limits. Diplomat Era's voice joined from the ship's diplomatic quarters. She was a middle-aged woman who had spent decades learning alien languages and customs in preparation for this day. We also learned to watch and listen. We monitored galactic communications, studied alien technology, and prepared for the day when we might be able to return. Elder Junho spoke from his quarters deep in the ship. He was the oldest living human, over 120 years. Old, and one of the few who remembered Earth before the Exodus. We made ourselves into something new, Dragon. Not because we wanted to, but because we had to. Jinwoo represents the culmination of 40 years of genetic engineering and adaptation. Hyen-Su looked down at the baby who was playing with his mother's fingers while listening to the adult voices around him. What makes him different from other humans? Dr. Inho answered from the medical bay. Jinwoo can survive in vacuum for up to an hour without protection. His body can process any type of atmosphere, extract nutrition from almost any organic matter, and adapt to gravity changes that would kill other beings. His brain processes information faster than any human before him, and his immune system can fight off diseases that we have never even encountered. He is what we became when the galaxy tried to destroy us, Hae-Won said quietly. He is proof that life finds a way to survive, no matter what obstacles are placed in its path. The dragon was silent for a long moment, processing this information. Finally, he spoke. "And what do you plan to do with this gift? Will you use it for revenge against those who wronged you?" Hae-Won looked up at him, and for the first time, Hyen-Su saw uncertainty in her eyes. "That is the question that divides my people. Many want to make the galaxy pay for what was done to us. They say we should use our advantages to take back what was stolen from us. And what do you believe?" The dragon asked before Hae-Won could answer. Alarms began sounding throughout the ship. Lieutenant Sun-Ho's voice came over the communication. "System, Captain, the alien fleets are not withdrawing. In fact, more ships are arriving. It looks like they are preparing for a major battle." Engineer Kyung-mi added her report. "Our reinforcements are still 6 hours away. If they attack now, we will be badly outnumbered." Hae-Won stood up, still holding Jinwoo. "Dragon, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me." "I will answer truthfully," Hyen-Su promised. "In your thousands of years of life, have you ever seen a species that was completely good or completely evil?" The dragon thought carefully before answering. "No, every species has. Individuals capable of great kindness and terrible cruelty. The capacity for both seems to be a universal trait among intelligent life." "Then you understand why I am torn," Hey, one said. Some humans want revenge because they have suffered terribly. Some aliens want to finish what they started because they are afraid of what we have become. But some on both sides want to find a better way. She walked to the large window that showed the asteroid belt and the surrounding fleets. Jinwoo is more than just my son. He is a symbol of what humanity has become. If I raise him to hate the aliens, he will become a weapon of revenge. If I teach him to understand and forgive, he might become something better. Hyeonsu floated closer to her. What do you want to teach him? Hey, one looked down at her baby, who was staring up at her with those impossibly aware eyes. I want to teach him that survival is not the same as revenge. That becoming stronger does not mean you have to use that strength to hurt others. I want him to be the bridge between our species and the rest of the galaxy. That will not be easy, the dragon warned. There are those among your people and among the aliens who will see any attempt at peace as weakness or betrayal. I know. Hey, one admitted. But I also know that the alternative is a war that will destroy both sides. My people have the technology to win such a war, but victory would leave us ruling over a galaxy of corpses. That is not the future I want for my son? The communication system activated again, and this time it was a transmission from the alien fleets. Warlord Jae-sung's voice was filled with determination and fear. Human ship resilience, we have decided not to withdraw. The threat you represent is too great to ignore. We are prepared to destroy you and take the child by force if necessary. But before one could respond, another voice cut across the communication channels. It was Elder Mi Young speaking from her research vessel. Warlord Jae-sung, I have been analyzing the data from the human ship, and I believe we are making a terrible mistake. These humans are not here to attack us. They are here to reclaim their child. If we fire first, we will be the aggressors in a war that could have been avoided. Commander Yujin's voice joined the argument. Elder Mi Young is right. We should be trying to negotiate, not preparing for battle. But Jae-sung was unmoved. Negotiate with those who could destroy us all? Never. All ships prepare to attack. The human vessel. In the conference room of the Resilience, Haewon looked at Hyeonsu with desperate eyes. Dragon, I need your help. Not to fight, but to prevent a war that will destroy everything my son might become. Hyeonsu looked at baby Jinwoo, who was watching the adults around him with calm, intelligent eyes. The dragon realized that the next few minutes would determine not just the fate of this one child, but the future of all species in the galaxy. What do you propose? He asked. Haewon smiled for the first time since he had met her. Something that no one will expect. Something that might just be crazy enough to work. Haewon's plan was indeed something no one expected. Instead of preparing for battle or trying to escape, she asked Hyeonsu to carry her and Jinwoo back to his asteroid. But this time she wanted to broadcast their conversation to every ship. In both fleets. You want to do what? Lieutenant Seung-ho asked in disbelief when she explained her idea. I want to show them that we are not monsters, Haewon replied, holding Jinwoo close. I want them to see a mother with her child, talking honestly with an ancient being who has seen the rise and fall of countless civilizations. Engineer Kyung-mi shook her head. Captain, that will put you in terrible danger. If the alien ships attack, you will be caught between the fleets with nowhere to run. That is exactly the point, Haewon said. If they are willing to kill a mother holding her baby, then the galaxy will see what they have truly become. Hyeonsu listened to this plan with growing respect for the human woman. You are gambling with your life and your child's life on the hope that conscience will overcome fear. Do you think I am wrong? Haewon asked. The dragon considered this carefully. In my experience, most beings have more goodness in them than they realize. But fear can make even good people do terrible things. Then we must give them a reason to choose courage over fear. Hey, one replied. 20 minutes later, Hyeonsu carried Haewon and Jinwoo back to his asteroid home. Every ship in the system watched as the ancient dragon, the human mother, and the baby settled in the garden that Hyeonsu had created in the center of his asteroid. The dragon activated his communication systems and opened a channel to every vessel within range. "People of the galaxy," Hyeon-Su's voice echoed across space. "I have lived for over 3,000 years. I have watched civilizations rise from primitive beginnings to touch the stars. I have seen empires that seemed eternal crumble to dust. I have witnessed wars that consumed entire star systems and peace treaties that lasted for centuries." Hey, one sat on a smooth rock holding Jinwoo in her lap. The baby was calm and alert, looking around at the alien plants and flowers that Hyeon-Su had collected from a dozen different worlds. "What I'm about to tell you may be hard to believe," the dragon continued, "but I have never lied in all my years of existence. This human woman is not a warrior come to destroy you. She is a mother who has come to reclaim her child." On the bridge of the Zephyrian flagship, Warlord Jae-sung watched the transmission with anger and suspicion. "This is obviously a trick. They are trying to make us lower our guard." But Elder Mi-young's voice came across the communication channels from her research vessel. "Look at the child, Jae-sung. Watch how he behaves. That is not the behavior of a weapon or a tool. That is a normal, healthy infant who recognizes his mother." Indeed, Jinwoo was behaving like any baby might. He reached for colorful flowers, made happy sounds when Haewon tickled him, and rested contentedly in her arms. Despite his enhanced genetics and unusual intelligence, he was still fundamentally a child who needed love and care. Haewon began to speak, her voice carrying clearly to every ship. "My name is Haewon, and this is my son Jinwoo. 3 months ago, our hidden colony was discovered by raiders. We managed to get our children to escape pods before the attack, but many of us thought they had been lost forever." She looked directly into the camera that was broadcasting her image across the galaxy. "I know you are afraid of what humans have become. I know you believe we are here for revenge. Some of my people do want revenge, just as some of yours want to finish the genocide you started 40 years ago." Commander Yujin's voice came across the communication system. "What do you want from us, Haewon?" "I want what any mother wants," Haewon replied. "I want my child to grow up in a galaxy where he does not have to hide what he is. I want him to have friends from different species, to learn from alien cultures, to contribute to the greater community of intelligent life." Dr. So-young's voice joined the conversation. "But his genetic modifications, the abilities he possesses, how can we be sure they will not be used as weapons?" Haewon smiled and looked down at Jinwoo, who was trying to grab a floating flower that Hyeon-Su had created with his energy manipulation. "Dr. So-young, any ability can be used as a weapon if that is how a child is raised. Jinwoo could learn to use his adaptations to hurt others, or he could learn to use them to help others. The choice is not in his genetics. The choice is in what we teach him." Hyeon-Su's ancient voice added weight to her words. "In my long life, I have learned that the children of any species become what the adults around them show them to be. If we surround this child with fear and hatred, he will learn fear and hatred. If we surround him with wisdom and compassion, he will learn wisdom and compassion." The dragon's words seemed to have an effect on the listening fleets. Several ships powered down their weapons, and the formation of the alien vessels became less aggressive, but Warlord Jae-sung was not convinced. "Pretty words," he said harshly. "But what guarantee do we have that you will keep this promise? How do we know you will not raise him to be our destroyer?" Haewon was quiet for a moment, then she made a decision that shocked everyone, including Hyeon-Su. "I will give you the greatest guarantee I can offer. I will allow him to be raised here, in this asteroid, under the protection and guidance of this ancient dragon." The communication channels erupted with surprised voices from both human and alien ships. Lieutenant Sung-ho's voice was filled with disbelief. "Captain, you cannot be serious." "I am completely serious," Haewon replied. "Hyeon-Su has shown more wisdom in the past few days than our species have shown in decades. He will teach Jinwoo about all the different forms of life in the galaxy. He will help him understand that being strong does not mean being cruel." Hyeon-Su looked at her with surprise. Hey one, are you certain about this? You would trust me. To raise your child? I would trust you to help me raise him, she corrected. I will visit regularly, and he will know that he is human. But he will also learn that he is part of something larger than any one species. Elder Mi Young's voice carried amazement and hope. You are proposing that the child become a bridge between our species. More than that, Hei-Wan said. I am proposing that this asteroid become a place where all species can come to learn from each other, a neutral ground where differences can be discussed without fear or hatred. The idea was revolutionary. For the first time in galactic history, someone was suggesting a place where all species could meet as equals, where conflicts could be resolved through understanding rather than warfare. Dr. So Young was the first to voice support for the idea. The scientific opportunities alone would be incredible. We could share knowledge, learn from each other's discoveries, advance together instead of competing. Commander Yujin added her support. The Ultralian Republic would be honored to participate in such an endeavor. Even some of the more aggressive species began to consider the possibilities. If humans truly were willing to place their most advanced child in a neutral location, it might mean they were serious about peace. Warlord Jae-Sung remained skeptical. And what of the other human children you mentioned? What guarantee do we have about them? Hei-Wan's answer was simple and direct. The same guarantee I give about Jinwu. They will be raised to understand that their abilities are gifts to be used for the betterment of all life, not weapons to be used against it. Historian Sun Wu's voice came from the Resilience. Captain, the other colony ships have been monitoring this transmission. They are requesting permission to reveal their locations and begin the process of reintegration. This news sent shockwaves through the alien fleets. The idea that humans were ready to come out of hiding and rejoin galactic civilization was almost too much to process. Hyunsu made the decision that would change everything. I accept the responsibility of helping to raise this child and of providing a neutral meeting place for all species. But I have conditions. Name them, Hei-Wan said immediately. First, any species that wishes to participate must agree to strict non-violence protocols while in my territory. Second, all knowledge shared here must be freely available to all participants. Third, Jinwu and any other children who come here will be raised to understand that they belong to the galaxy, not to any one species or faction. The terms were reasonable and fair. One by one, representatives from the various species voiced their agreement. Even Warlord Jae-Sung, faced with the unanimous support of the other species, reluctantly agreed to the terms. 5 years later, the asteroid that had once been Hyeonsu's quiet home had become the most important location in the galaxy, the Galactic Cooperation Center, as it came to be known, hosted representatives from over 300 different species. Scientific discoveries had led to cures for diseases, solutions to environmental problems, and technologies that benefited everyone. Young Jinwu, now a curious and energetic 5-year-old, played in gardens that contained plants from 1,000 different worlds. He spoke fluently in dozens of alien languages and could adapt his body to survive in environments that would challenge even the most advanced environmental suits. But more importantly, he had learned to see all the different species as friends and teachers rather than enemies.